Y'all, welcome to another exciting episode of Life on the Ave, episode 42. My name is Vince. We're here with our esteemed guest today, Mr. Ryan German. Ryan,
hi Vince, how are you?
Doing well.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. So Ryan is a man who wears many hats. So Ryan is a restaurant owner. He owns German Pro Services, which is a painting, landscape, hardscape, handyman service company, father of three.
That's right.
Yep, father of three, and a philanthropist. So does a lot of philanthropic ventures here as well too. So Ryan, born and raised Newark, Delaware.
Born and raised in Newark, Cafe Gelato restaurants on Main Street in Newark. I went to high school at Newark High, and I spent a year in Spain learning Spanish between Newark High School and University of Delaware. Played some rugby at Delaware, opened the restaurant during college, opened the German's Pro Services when I was still at Newark High. So I've had those two businesses going. Sold some produce on the side of the road when I was in college also. So I had a produce stand. And the one other business is just residential investment properties that we own in Newark.
Love it. Awesome. So yeah, let's stick with... or let's start with our first fun fact. So I did not know you did an extra year of high school.
I couldn't get enough. So, I just wanted to keep on going. I wanted to learn Spanish, and it's come in handy for small business here in Delaware. And I went and I lived in Toledo, Spain for a year. I learned how to play rugby. That allowed me to play rugby at Delaware. And I learned Spanish pretty well. I learned chess some. I was on the chess team in Spain.
Nice. I
play chess now with my boys. And Sky, sometimes Sky's my oldest. She's 11 years old. And Dylan's 9. He's our middle one. And Braden's 7. My wife Shannon and I, we've been married almost 20 years.
Nice.
So this December will be 20. But in Spain, it was good. It was an extra year to get ready for college and a good year to learn Spanish.
That's awesome. Yeah. So would you still say like you're proficient in Spanish or you're fluent?
Well, fluency is, it's something you learn every day. I would say that my Spanish language is very much fluent, but it's, I'm always learning more.
Love it. Awesome. And you own an Italian restaurant.
That is true. My wife is 50% Italian. Shannon is 50% Irish and 50% Italian. So our kids are, well, Sky, has that a little more Italian in her. I think Dylan has a little more Irish. So maybe Sky's probably, 29% Italian, and Dylan's probably 29% Irish. I don't have any Italian. I mean, most of my ancestry is Eastern European, Lithuanian, Slovakian, Northern Europe. But I wanted to open a restaurant branded around gelato. Mm-hmm. So when I was in Spain that year after high school, I saw Italian gelato, and it was really good. And I thought it was different enough where I could brand a restaurant around it. So junior year of University of Delaware, I went to Italy, a little town called Porto Santo Stefano, and I learned to make gelato. I purchased the machines, signed a lease with Richard Hanloff, who owns the National 5 and Dime on Main Street.
Awesome.
And we have Cafe Gelato restaurant open now.
24 years.
I was going to say, 24 years. So since April 10th, 2000.
Yeah, we got to update the LinkedIn. So LinkedIn hasn't been updated since 2017. But in 2017, you were advertising your 17-year anniversary. So
I should probably, I should probably update a lot of that internet stuff.
So like that is just like astounding to me. Like in today's day and age, early 2000s, just as a junior in college, 22, 23 years old, just being like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Like you seem like to be a guy who's just, I'm going to figure it out. Like what was that, whole process like for you?
I think in some ways it's easier to start a business when you're young and you don't have kids.
Yeah.
I would say, folks that come and talk to me about businesses now or starting an idea, I would say it's probably harder if you need really good health insurance and if you're replacing a salary that you're used to. So I'd say coming out of college, and my rent at the time was $187. I had 3 roommates. I lived on Madison Drive in Newark. I chose the smallest bedroom so I could pay $187 a month. I think that was an easier time to take the plunge and open a restaurant on Main Street in Newark. And the painting business, the the professional services business I've had open since 1995, since Newark High School. So again, just taking it from a summer job and continue on with it. The best thing I learned with starting that business in high school was to use a payroll processing company. So I think at the time I used ADP, and then I switched to Paychex, and I'm with Paychex now. But using a payroll processing company was a good lesson to learn back in the early days of the painting business, and something that I carried through to opening the restaurant.
Yeah, it's awesome. So sticking with like the business theme and stuff. So like we have a similar background. I started my first business in college stringing lacrosse sticks. I'm still stringing lacrosse sticks today. And what I tell people is like, I learned more from running my business than, sitting in learner hall. Crazy to think you had a similar experience.
I would say that what you're saying is essentially, it's true. But I would also say that the 4 years of college are super important. I'm here now with prices of college going up significantly, and folks often incurring debt, whether college is worth it or whether there's a different path. And there are certainly a million paths to life. But I was thinking about the other day, and I was thinking that the 4 years or 5 that folks spend with college, post high school, it's an important time to grow up.
Yeah.
So whereas all the things that you learn now when you're actually hands-on and in the career, it's probably exponentially more than what you learn in a classroom. But I think, at least from my experience, the time that I spent at University of Delaware was important to just grow up.
Yeah.
Just to get older.
Yeah. And I've been on a few podcasts recently, and one we were talking about, hey, that like growing up process, going from, hey, I'm an entrepreneur flying by the seat of my pants, to like flipping the switch, I'm a business owner now. And it's so funny that like the first thing you say, that you learn, like the biggest lesson is like, hey, paychecks, right? Yeah. And for me, like it kind of flipped 3-4 years ago when I put myself on salary. Yeah. And I was like, all right, like live the party boy lifestyle, making good money and just doing whatever. But like having the legitimate salary set up, like really flipped the switch for me in terms of, hey, like I'm a business owner now.
Yeah, that makes a real thing. Making payroll every other Friday and including yourself in payroll.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We're similar. So, Pat gets a paycheck every couple of weeks as well too. And Mary Kate is like super duper on top of it in terms of like, if we ever have a contractor do work, she's like, I want to get them paid right away. Just the overall responsibility of like being responsible for other people's, financial situation is it's a big time wake up call for a business owner, I think.
Certainly. There's a little bit of a drive there too. I mean, there's, knowing that there's a payroll every other Friday there, at least for me over the years, it's okay, we're going to generate this revenue most likely tomorrow or the next day. And we're going to set up this special event to derive a little bit more money. Yeah. Like a dinner in the field. We had a cool dinner last year. Maybe I'll grab a picture for Pat, I'll show it. But we had a dinner last year at Ramsey's Farm. It was really neat. It was in the field. It was at night. There was a chance of rain, and luckily it didn't rain during the dinner. It rained before the dinner, rained after dinner, but it was beautifully set. It was lots of ambient lighting, and it was in the middle of the cornfield. That generated an extra bunch of revenue on that particular day in early September last year.
Yeah, and I love like how involved you are, and feel free to touch on what you're involved in and stuff. But like I love when I see you guys like at the Italian festival and stuff. So you guys are obviously based in Newark with the restaurant sort of deal, but you definitely have a reach throughout the state, and definitely the northern part of the state.
Catering is a lot of fun, and we cater all over the state of Delaware. Weddings at the beach to parties up here in Wilmington, often at houses right here near Trolley, and sometimes a little further north. One time we did a divorce party down in Washington, D.C.
A divorce party?
Yeah. We had to wear T-shirts that said, it's not who you marry, it's who you divorce. But that's we traveled down there to do that. We've been in Richmond, Virginia for Estee Lauder, for MAC Cosmetic Company, for one of their store openings down there. We've done weddings in Connecticut. Catering is a big part of the business because people celebrate often milestones in life with food.
Yeah,
So it's
huge.
So it's an important food's personal to folks. It's important. It helps people celebrate, brings people together.
Love it. Awesome. So like sticking with the food right here. So gelato, like what is gelato? Like me, you know, from Delco, some people say I was raised by wolves, right? Sometimes. So, you know, we're just a wild card out there. Is gelato just ice cream? Like, is it Italian ice cream? Or like, what is it?
Italian ice cream. Biggest difference is it has significantly less butterfat than American ice cream. American ice cream usually has, like a super premium American ice cream, right, has 20% butterfat. And gelato has less than 10, 8, 9, 10.
So what's the difference? Yeah.
Gelato tastes just as creamy because it has less air in it. So the American ice cream machines, they're called batch freezers, as they churn the milk, cream, and sugar, they're pumping air into it to fill the container in the grocery store. Gelato does not have an overrun like that. It has less than 5% air, so it tastes super creamy. And finally, when you taste gelato, you don't feel like you need to drink a big glass of water at the end. You know, I don't know if you've ever had like a good ice cream, but then right afterwards you feel like you need to gulp down all that with a big glass of water. Gelato it's refreshing. It's made with milk, cream, and sugar. We use the High Point Dairy cows and the milk, obviously.
Support local. Love that.
And I do want to, you know, when you say support local, it's important because this is an old adage, but it's absolutely true. If you shop local and you buy from a locally owned business, more than 90% of your dollar stays in the community. If you buy from a locally owned franchise, like say like the Ducart family's McDonald's, 70% of the dollar stays in the community. But if you buy from just a national or a corporate owned store, like, you know, a big national chain, it's less than 20% of the dollar stays in. So when you make purchasing decisions, I've heard on these podcasts like, hey, you know, where do you like to go to eat? And all the restaurants are great. And most times when people are on, when I watched it, it's all, you know, it's always a local spot. But I would suggest that. I would say, you know, when you think about gifts, go to a restaurant locally, go to a shop nearby, shop local as much as you possibly.
Your initial thought, like, hey, I'm going to open up, you know, a gelato, lack of a better term, ice cream shop? Or like, was it always an Italian restaurant, like in your mind?
I always wanted to do an Italian restaurant, but I wanted to be careful on Main Street not to have hamburgers, nachos, and I guess, you know, pints of beer, right? So opening up, we, you know, and Italian restaurants also at the time were like white and red checkered, you know, tablecloths, almost like a Mrs. Rubino style with like spaghetti and meatballs. So we wanted to do more Northern Italian, and we thought branding the concept around gelato would make it work really, really well.
Yeah. So when you say like Northern Italian, like what do you mean?
Pan-seared scallops, pan-seared salmon, veal chops, rack of lamb.
Nice.
Vegetables, entrees, panini. We do now have wood fire pizza as well.
Love that.
House crafted pasta. And, you know, a pasta maybe with a white wine sauce, roasted cauliflower.
So house crafted means like you make it all in house?
We do.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you make any wine?
We don't make wine, but I like to drink wine.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah. I know that like there is that like little wine room that you have in the front, little private wine room. Haven't had, you know, the privilege to dine in there yet, but that's definitely on my Delaware bucket list.
Well, you'd have to drive all the way down to Newark first.
I got to pack a lunch to get down there. Yeah. I got to pack a lunch. That's what I tell people. Anytime I go south of the city, I got to pack a lunch. Yeah, that's awesome.
Maybe if there's someone out there that can like have you sell their house in Newark, and then that would give you a reason.
Perfect. Yeah. I got enough reason to stop down Newark. Yeah. I got to make it down there. Yeah. So getting started, like did you have any prior restaurant experience?
I worked at the building where Cafe Gelato is, 90 Main Street. I worked in that building as a busboy for 2 years when I was 13 years old, 13 and 14, summer job. I worked all job at the University of Delaware, Clayton Hall Catering, so for special events. And then when I was in college, I worked at the Trabant Center, University of Delaware, in their catering for special events. That was my restaurant experience. And I think the small business experience was just, like we mentioned before, from having the businesses that I started in high school. The painting business, the produce stand.
Yep.
running payroll and running crews.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And that's going back to like one of the, first flowers I gave you was like you are an extremely hard worker. So, like at least from the outside, would you classify yourself as a hard worker? I think
I would. I would say you never have to apologize for hard work. There's plenty of other things I have to apologize for in life, but hard work is not one of them.
Yeah, I love that. So, we first met working out at the gym, Black Ops Fitness, and like you would just get after it. You would just get in the zone and just be doing your own thing, just getting after it. And I was like, this guy's crazy over here.
Like crazy strong, right?
Yeah, like crazy strong, right? Yeah, like crazy strong. And then I think our relationship picked up once I finally got back in shape a little bit. Game recognized game. It's like, hey, I'm Ryan. Hey, I'm Vince. Like, nice to meet you, right? Yeah. And I've been a fan. And I'm learning a ton about you in this conversation. Like, there's such a different level of work ethic when you have someone who's worked their whole entire life from 12, 13 years old. I just see it. It's completely different. And I went to a very privileged high school, and some of these guys, they're getting their first job at 22. I'm like, that's 10 years of work experience that, you and I have had a leg up on these people, sort of deal. So yeah, kudos to you for being
Thanks.
A hard worker.
And
you're still
listen,
a hard charger. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Sometimes just learning how to work in the summer as you apply things you learn in school, allow you to exponentially grow in a career. So if you learn how to work, but then you get a medical degree and become a doctor, you could be a hardworking doctor. If you don't know how to work, then maybe you're not a hardworking doctor. So learning how to work is probably a good skill. Summertime job skill. I wish more kids these days would have summertime jobs, but it sounds like everybody and their mother is doing travel baseball, softball, or lacrosse.
Yeah, that's a hot debate. What's the German household do for that?
Well, my oldest is 11, so we have not ventured into it, although I know that there are clubs that start earlier. We have not done any travel yet. We do, all the kids do sports with their school or with COIO or the local Wilmington Little League, but we don't do summer as of yet.
Yeah, that's a hot debate in the Garman household right now. I grew up, I was one of those travel kids, same with my wife, Mary Kate, and she's like, we are not doing travel sports. No way. We just bought a shore house. We're going to be down the shore as much as possible. So, which I don't hate. I think it's a little overkill, that travel ball. But yeah, sticking with the hard work thing. One thing that really impressed me was with you was hey, when COVID happened, I think the restaurant industry was probably hit the hardest, if not one of the hardest, across the country, and especially here in Delaware. And with you, it was instantly hey, German Pro Services. And I was like, what is German Pro Services? And come to find out, it's a company that you've been, running, helping out for, 30 years now, close to 30 years. Yes, 1995.
I think the big thing in COVID, what people heard about, or what the reason why there was some chatter around which is essentially, contracting business is fun, it's great, but it's not super exciting. People don't normally talk about it. People are used to talking about more, restaurants or the new restaurant, or rather than who's going to put your roof on or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the chat around COVID was we made a commitment to all of our staff at Cafe Gelato not to lay anyone off and not to cut any hours. So we did a lot of deliveries to go, a lot of shopping. We did a lot of selling steaks and just and meals and Mother's Day to go and catering. But we also allowed folks to work in the contracting business until the restaurant was back open. So we just made a commitment to not cutting any hours, and I think people kind of heard about that, and that's probably created some attention for German's Pro Services.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, kudos to you. Yeah, because there were a lot of people who just hey, 400 people laid off. Yeah, it is what it is.
There were a lot of national companies that did that, which was a bit disappointing. But I would say what I saw here in Delaware and working with the local legislators and the state government, and also with many local business owners, most local business owners kept everybody working. It was pretty impressive what Delaware did and what Delaware small businesses did, and I'll say it again. Shop local as much as you can. It was a buzz thing, if you remember, like shop local. I feel like it was before COVID even. But I would just say that if you spend $40 on some like random engraving for like your wife for Mother's Day on Instagram, the money's it's not staying in Delaware. But if you spend the same $40 at a gift shop or a boutique, 90% of it or more is staying in Delaware.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So that's a good message. Yeah. Stay local, shop local. That's the Delaware way. We support our local businesses. So
bring a lunch, get down to Newark.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. It's definitely on the list. So I'm not sure if you just hinted at that sort of deal. But did you say you have a new restaurant coming or no new restaurant?
No. Cafe Gelato, open and we have a new wine dinner. I'm not sure. May 16th, we have an Oregon wine dinner. We'd love people to come for that. The wine dinners are neat because you can have a wine.
Oregon, like Oregon?
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the right pronunciation?
I'm not sure. I'm from Delco. I say library, and my wife is like, there's an extra R in there. And I'm like, maybe.
So a winemaker will come in and talk about the wines, and we have a dinner with it. And if the weather's super nice, people like to sit outside. It should be nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So 24 years of Cafe Gelato. What does the next 24 look like?
24 more years of Cafe Gelato and growing our real estate investment business, and seeing how our kids grow. That's a new and exciting thing every single day, is not knowing what paths they'll choose and what they're into and what they will grow, what their interests will grow into, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Shannon and I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I definitely like watching you and Shannon do life with the two kids. You two do life with the three kids. It seems like you guys always got something fun going on.
Yeah.
Whether that's trips, doing fun dad projects like prior to this we were looking at you renovate a bat. Any tips for any fathers out there? We do have a lot of new fathers in the area, myself included. Any tips on any future dads out there?
Unsolicited tips are always so well received, so I should probably just give as many as possible.
Go for it.
No, I'm kidding. I think parents usually do a really, really good job, and from the outside looking in, sometimes, or maybe from the inside looking out. Maybe from the inside looking out, you don't realize how good of a job you're doing. But I'd say most people are doing a pretty good job. And the project work Dill and I are working on right now, we're doing a 1939 Larson rowboat. So we're renovating.
Oh, nice.
We're renovating that rowboat, and hopefully we'll have it ready for the summertime so we go fishing.
Awesome. Yeah, one of my big things that I've not necessarily learned per se, but more so I've just taken some skills and applied them to parenting. Running our team here is definitely has some aspects of mentoring, parenting, stuff like that. So you had 20 years of experience prior to having kids. How would you describe the Ryan German managerial style, the Ryan German parenting style?
Well, I think over the years, I've tried to mellow some. When I first opened the restaurant, I was super young, 20, 21 years old. And just as I've gotten older, just try to mellow out a little bit, but still have the same energy and vigor. And
you're definitely more mellow in 2024 than when we first met in 2017, 2018.
Must be my attempt at a mullet, Listen to more music. My buddy, Danny Profita, and he and I have bought our first rental property together right when we graduated from college, and they're like, we need to see your financials. We're like, well, no, we were in college. We don't have financials. They're like, this is a true story. The bank's like, okay, we'll just take your transcript of your grades. We're like, okay. And Danny's like, that's going to be an issue. I'm like, well, what's the issue? He's like, I'm not sure if I actually graduated. So we go down and we get the transcripts. And he did graduate.
Nice.
So we celebrated. And we got that bank loan for 204 East Park Place. I think that, and I want to mention one other project. We're doing the rowboat, but Dill and I are also doing a go-kart.
Nice.
We've been driving it around the neighborhood.
Sweet.
The brakes failed once. It was not too bad, but we fixed them. So we'll be driving around a little more.
Sweet. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you driving around. So that had to be an experience. Like you're saying, you know, you've mellowed out. I've definitely, you know, noticed it as well too. The restaurant industry, I'm an outsider. I never worked in it. Pat worked in it. Mary Kate worked in it. Cole worked in it. Jade a little bit as well too. Restaurant industry sometimes can be, you know, like it's showtime sort of deal. Like
yeah, I would say that a lot of it's rah in the sense that it's a similar experience to when you're in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, we're going to serve more than 700 people on Sunday morning for brunch. And so
700,
more than 700 on it's Mother's Day.
Just at Gelato.
Yeah. Just at Gelato. Yeah. I mean, it's Mother's Day. So it's, a normal brunch could be 300 people. So it's, you know, it's more than double what it is on a normal day, but it's almost like prepping for a big game.
Yeah.
So like in the middle of the game, you know, there's not a lot of extra time to do other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that is true.
Yeah. So like game time, showtime, I definitely can, you know, like reconcile with that. You know, how like was it just like were you hiring your own peers? I know you have a lot of, you know, UD kids working there now. Like, you know. Well,
first time in the restaurant, same way. Main Street in Newark is great because there's a lot of really smart people that go to University of Delaware and want to work hard. Mm-hmm. So just being open on Main Street, being a new restaurant, we were able to give opportunities to folks that were hard workers, but had to wait a lot longer to serve tables at one of the existing restaurants. And so we were able to get some good workers that way, and that maybe they were a little bit less experienced as a server, but they were going to work hard. So we had when we first opened, had folks that started serving tables as freshmen and served like all 4 years.
It's awesome.
Whereas now, you know, it's the normal path would be, you know, busting a year or two and then serve in the last couple of years.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on restaurant wise?
That it is not too far to go to Newark, even if my wife sometimes thinks it is. But
so I'm not the only one.
So I would say come down to Newark and check out Main Street. And it's fun that you know, if you dine out at Cafe Gelato, they have a new hotel next door now. They have you know, they have the original, you know, Klondike Kate's and Deer Park Tavern, and of course the University of Delaware campus. And I would say that in a year's time, there are probably events that folks go down to Newark for, whether it's a graduation or a concert or a sporting event. Come to Cafe Gelato when you go down to Newark.
That's awesome. So 24 years of owning the restaurant. Anything you wish you did differently?
I mean, there's plenty of things, but it's not like living in regret or anything. But there's certainly and not Monday morning quarterbacking, but there's certainly a million things. I mean, you know, like simple things like when we first opened, we had no sugar packets. I thought, well, we don't want those little tiny sugar packets on the tables. They don't look so nice. And the first person that had their first iced tea on the first table at lunch, like, hey, can I have some sugar? Right, and we also didn't have any straws on the first day, and I know they're banned again now, 24 years later. But you know, we got some straws for the second day. So there are plenty of things like that. Another little thing was we didn't, for whatever reason, when we first started serving dinner, we didn't automatically serve fresh bread. I mean, I'm talking about 24 years ago, and we didn't serve fresh bread with dinner. And a friend of mine said, Ryan, you need to have fresh bread served with dinner. I mean, so there's plenty of things. There are plenty of things like that, and they're.
The funny anecdotes, they make it, you know, they make the journey worth it. Yeah.
But it's also work in progress every day. So that, you know, in restaurants, you're almost only as good as your last meal, or only as good as the last experience. And so constantly working on it and constantly improving is the trick to keep it new. And we get to do that sometimes with all these new different special dinners that we're doing. And the next one's May 16th, which is that Oregon dinner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And like what I tell people is like on the real estate side of it, like real estate is a practice. Like I very much consider myself, you know, like a lawyer, like a doctor, like we have a real estate practice here. And I feel like a restaurant's very similar because, you know, you can try new dishes, you can try out, you know, new stuff like that. And you're constantly, you know, always looking for, you know, one thing that I learned from one of our attorneys was like, hey, I don't want to be an attorney that says, hey, this is how we've always done things. Like if you come up with a better way to do something, let's test it out and let's implement it. And I feel like the restaurant industry is very similar there.
That's right. And look, you get out and you eat with real people. You know, you could be friends with, you know, avatars on Roblox or whatever the kids play now. You can have lots of like chats or be in the chat or whatever that is. But when you go out to dine, you're usually dining with a real person.
Yeah.
And so restaurants are fun for that.
Love that. Love that. So famous question that we love to ask all of our, foodies out there, all of our restaurant tours out there is, you wouldn't consider, like, would you consider yourself a chef? Like,
I'm not a chef.
Not a chef.
I can fill in occasionally, expoing on the front line and maybe on the hot line if I was really, really, really needed. But that's been less than, 5 times in 24 years.
Gotcha. Yeah. So not a chef, but restaurant owner. What does the restaurant owner do for dinner at home?
My favorite dinner of all time has always been tacos. I love cooking tacos, and I like onions in my tacos. I usually use about I'd say like a pound of onions for a pound of meat.
Nice.
So I like onions in tacos. Tacos are my favorite. I like to cook the Spanish tortilla. That's fun.
What's a Spanish tortilla?
It's almost like eggs, potatoes, onions. So it's like a Spanish frittata.
Frittata. What's a frittata?
It's like an Italian omelet.
You can tell I'm not a foodie. Yeah. I'm a good size. I like to eat.
It's a potato. It's a potato and egg.
Nice
omelet. It's very. I like cooking that. I like cooking steak. I'd probably say New York strip is my favorite. Cut to cook at home.
Yeah. Do your kids like the restaurant?
They like the restaurant. They like the restaurant business. They like the work in the restaurant. Yeah.
That's awesome.
They like to cook at home.
Love that. Love that. You put them to work yet?
At home?
At the restaurant, yeah.
Not really. But
carrying stuff from the car in or something like that?
A tiny bit.
Yeah, nice. Folding napkins maybe?
Not so much. I mean,
that's up, Sky.
I tell you what, they love to cook at home, and they are good at cooking. So, steaks, our favorite snack to cook. I mean, it's not that it's exciting or anything. It's popcorn. I love cooking olive oil and sea salt popcorn.
Nice.
I might do that every day.
You just don't bag it and put it in the microwave?
No, I use one of those whirly pops.
Nice.
On the stove.
The whirly pop. Yeah. The whirly pop. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So congratulations on all your success at Cafe Gelato. That's been awesome. Involved in the real estate game as well too. What would you say is kind of like, a lesson that you've learned from the real estate game that, you want to share with the people?
Probably just longevity is key.
Yeah.
I just realized because I got a text that an HVAC wasn't working correctly, and our tech said, that unit's 19 years old. But I remember when I put it in, I was thinking in my head that, hey, that's a new unit because we just put it in. It was 19 years old. So I realized that's a house that I purchased more than 20 years ago.
Yep.
And so I say longevity is key. If you pay off the mortgage with the rent, but you don't have to sell it you don't necessarily have to sell it to get the equity. You could use the equity to purchase another property.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Going back to like the business owner side of it, like it's so funny just watching like your brain tick like that. Like these guys look at me sometimes because I literally have like an elephant brain where like your HVAC texted you 19 years ago and you're like, no, we just put that in last week. Right. Like, yeah.
It seemed like last week.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And just like listening to you, bring up, the couple stories, with the sugar packet and the straws and stuff like that. Like that literally feels like yesterday.
It does.
Yeah. Like I feel like every time I walk in this office is like the first time I walked in, I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Yeah. Do you still get that feeling walking in the restaurant?
All the time. And graduation is super fun. We opened April 10th of 2000, so this will be our 24th Universal Stellar graduations coming up at the end of the month.
That'll be a big event. 6 weeks after opening, you have your first graduation.
Yeah. And that was the rush, right? That was like, for me, that was like the deadline. Like, hey, let's get this done before school's out, before graduation's over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's do it. And then a lot of projects in Newark are like that. The hotel that opened next to us, they wanted to open last year just before graduation. They did, and then they had the summer to kind of work out kinks. But big events, graduation is fun. Moving weekend is fun. It's not like an official calendar event, but you kind of know the date when all the parents are bringing their kids back to school. That's kind of a cool thing where you see parents kind of having that last meal with their students before they start the school year.
Yeah.
And then parents weekend's a good one.
Yeah. Alumni weekend.
Alumni weekend's fun too, but I think that's a week after graduation.
Yeah.
And in the first couple of years that we're super, super, super busy and popular, and I think it's still going on, but it's it's the first weekend of June. I think that some folks go to the shore of the beach.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get the invite to alumni weekend because I just stopped going to school. So I was like, I did this enough. So
you probably sneak in. They wouldn't know.
No, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. University of Delaware got enough money from me. University of Delaware, please invite Vince Garman to alumni weekend. I would love to go. Yeah. But another thing that we wanted to mention is just like how small of a world it is. So like, the Delaware Way, it's literally 1 degree of separation. You and I have a couple of mutual connections. So your babysitters are good family friends of mine. And like when that connection came through, I was like, that is just like such a small world. Yeah. So I'm sure you got, a ton of stories about
that. That's just how that's actually, I think the way I finally realized is when you were planning the engagement. I think either Maggie or Emma Taviano told me, or they knew about it somehow. And then, and I saw you guys get engaged, in front of the old Black Ops there on Lovering Avenue. Yeah. But that was pretty cool. And the Tavianos are a great family. They've been Maggie first, and most recently Emma have been great babysitters, and they're wonderful people. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, super small world there. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
I don't know. I mean, is there a normal ending to this, or?
No, so not necessarily like normal ending.
I brought you a couple of gifts.
Sweet, love it. Yeah.
Right,
so start to let's do the gifts. Yeah, and then we'll hit you with a few of our more so regular ending questions. Love getting gifts, dude. Sweet. You were the second guy to bring us gifts, so I'm excited. Joe Corbino was. He brought us a bottle of wine and then this picture of him. Huh. Yeah. Sweet. What do we got here?
Okay, so that's a silicone ice maker, and
love that.
So you make big ice cubes so you can have your whiskey or bourbon in these glasses. These are crystal Riedel glasses.
Woo.
This is a boat oar on the side, and right at that point right there is the 2 ounce mark. And then I brought you 2 crystal.
Right here, like where they meet up. That's like the 2 ounce mark.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I brought you 2 Riedel Cabernet glasses.
Love this. These are legit.
So they're crystals. So, be careful with them. Can they go in the dishwasher? Sure, but just don't break the stem. So you might want to be.
These things are crystal as well too. Yeah.
So a little bit, but they're super good, and these are specifically Cabernet glasses. If you like Cab, drink them out of there.
Nice.
Keep freeze this up, throw them in the freezer. Have a big ice cube with your.
My kids are gonna love the huge ice cubes.
Your whiskey or bourbon or whatever kids drinks you have.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely appreciate the gifts. These are sweet. Wrapping it up here. So, last couple questions. We always like to, ask our people, things that they like to do, sort of deal, any special events. So let's start it off with German family, either, Ryan personally or German family as a whole. Favorite Wilmington, Delaware, Newcastle County, take it wherever you want, Delaware event that the German family likes to go to.
Delaware event. Boy, I think about it. My boys and I tell you what, we like to go shopping at the Tri-Score Acme. I mean, this is no joke. I mean, it's my favorite store. The boys and I like to go after.
It's your favorite?
It is my favorite.
My wife hates it. I love it.
I love it. I mean, there's always good sales, and it's right here in town, and it's recently renovated. So I love that store.
Is that money staying in Delaware?
And why I decided to stay in Delaware?
No. Like, is that money like that we spend at Acme? Does that stay in Delaware?
I don't know. I mean, Acme, the sales in an Acme are really, really, really high. Like it's like $750,000 a week in gross sales in those stores. That's like a corporate owned store. I would say like it's
Philadelphia based.
I would say it's like 20 or 30% of that money stays in Delaware. But it's a grocery store. But we like going to that store. We like spending time time together as a family at the beach in the summertime. And
nice. What beach point do you go to?
We go to Ocean City, Maryland.
Nice. OCMD.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't make it down there ever.
You just have to take 113. You go 1 to 113. Ever get on 113?
I've been on 113. I've been to OCMD a couple times, but like it's rare. Yeah. It is rare. It is rare. All right, cool. So coffee drinker?
I make coffee at home.
Make coffee at home?
Yeah. I get some good coffee at the Acme that's on sale, and I brew it at home with our normal coffee machine.
What, you got cream and sugar or what?
No, just black. We have one of those Nespressos that sometimes I drink, but I like regular, like auto drip coffee.
Love that. Love that. All right. So favorite, other than Cafe Gelato, definitely get out there, support Cafe Gelato, May 16th, Oregon wine dinner night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than Cafe Gelato, favorite Delaware local business you like to support? Feel free to, not limit it to just one.
Restaurants? I mean, in Delaware, I like lots. I like Bar Rivera, I like BBC, I like Columbus Inn, Brandywine Room, Snuff Mill.
Are you involved with like the whole like Delaware restaurant industry? I know that that's like a big, community.
I'm on the board of the Restaurant Association. We work together on legislative issues, and I've been doing that for, I guess, over 20 years.
Sweet.
But yeah, we all work together on it, and it's a pretty good group.
Awesome. Sticking with the philanthropic stuff. So, favorite Ryan German, favorite philanthropic endeavor you're involved in?
I think Friendship House is a good group.
What is Friendship House?
They help people get back on their feet and find get them ready for jobs. Maybe provide emergency housing. I think that's a good group. I mean, there's plenty of great groups. I think sometimes just getting people a job is a good way of doing it. So helping people with summer jobs, helping kids that need a summer job get a summer job. I think that's an important thing. We help a lot with that.
Awesome. And then I guess last one, personal question for you. Since we did meet at the gym, I am just curious, like, what is your favorite exercise? Or do you like playing real sports?
Favorite exercise at the gym, well, let's see. I know that they're not squats and they're not handstand push-ups, because God knows I can't do those. I'm not very good at jump and snatch. I'm not good at that. Bear complex is difficult.
You're saying all the ones you don't like to do. Which ones do you like to do?
I'm thinking I could probably handle body weight lunges, maybe.
You like that runner. You like getting on that runner.
And I could do like a burpee pull-up. You know why? Because the burpee pull-up allows the jump. I need that jump into the pull-up.
100%.
So I'll go with burpee pull-ups.
100%. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Ryan, definitely thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate everything that you do. If you guys are looking for a beautiful date night out or just any reason, feel free to frequent Cafe Gelato. If you need any hardscaping painting done, our neighbor just got a beautiful backyard back here. Definitely hit up German Pro Services for that. And then anything else you need, feel free to contact the Garman Group. I'm happy to get in touch with Ryan German. He's a man of many talents. So, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, sir.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Sweet.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all. Love you guys.